All right, John Fredericks Radio Network. Let's get right to it. Ben Loyola running for Congress, 2nd District. That race is going to be decided on Tuesday. Boy, it's only a few days away, July 23rd. 3 candidates in the race. Scott Taylor, who's the favorite, Ben Loyola, who we understand is closing, and Jerome Bell, who is way down, but it's kind of a two-person race. Anyway, Ben, great to have you with us, man.
Good morning, John. Thank you for having me.
How do you win this race?
Well, we win it by doing everything we have been doing, reaching out to constituents, sharing our message of a strong economy, strong national defense, taking care of our veterans, promoting the education and research and development, which is so important to ensure an educated, a strong labor workforce to ensure that prosperous economy, and doing everything we've done, a very professional, ethical campaign that we've been running, full of endorsements of practically every elected official throughout the region. Over 42 elected officials, past and present, have endorsed this campaign, and I'm so honored and humbled with that. They know what it takes to win, and they've come behind me, and they're promoting me. It's amazing. It's kind of the first time I've seen such a wide, broad coalition, Big Ten, as we say, in the Reagan-esque area, of bringing people together and supporting for a common cause here to win this and take the seat back.
Now, you've been running negative ads on Scott Taylor.
No, sir.
No, you haven't?
No, sir. That was
Jerome
Bell has been running some pretty vicious ads on TV as well as on radio, and I thought, to be honest with you, he's crossed the line.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Wow. I thought, you know what? I'm glad you brought that up because I kind of saw some of them online, and a lot of times what happens is, like, I didn't really pay attention. I glanced at them. They seemed pretty nasty, but you don't sometimes see who actually was paying for the ad. So I'll look back at that. But what you're saying is those are all Jerome's ads, not the Loyola campaign.
My print ads in the paper, my radio ads have been just basically sharing my background, humble beginnings of I was born in a communist country, came to America thanks to sacrifices my parents made, served 30 years in the Navy, fought in combat under great Commander-in-Chief President Reagan. Obviously attended a Naval Academy, got an incredible engineering degree. But I also remind folks that, I wanted to serve early, and at 16 I took my first oath because I wanted to join the Navy and be enlisted and actually be on submarines. So I entered a delayed entry program, and as I continued through high school and finally graduated, I was ready to go to boot camp in Orlando, Florida, and then got picked up with an appointment to the United States Naval Academy up in Annapolis. And then served 30 years, became a naval aviator in the A-6 Intruder, an attack aircraft, a bombardier navigator, and did 2 carrier deployments, fought against a tyrant in Libya off the coast of in Gaddafi, and then also fought against terrorism. American by the name of Leon Klinghoffer, who was identified as an American citizen on cruise in the Mediterranean.
That was the one that the terrorists threw him overboard in the wheelchair.
PLO, Palestine Liberation Organization, and shot him and threw him overboard. And President Reagan said, "Nope, we're not going to allow that to happen to American citizens." And it's an amazing testament to his peace through strength policy. And we intercepted that airliner with the A-6s as tankers and the F-14 fighters in the middle of the night, up at altitude, and forced that airplane down and sticking out Italy and brought those terrorists to justice. So, I'm seeing the same thing with President Trump supporting our military. It's obviously part of the Constitution, the preamble to provide for the common defense, when we must have a strong national defense, both foreign and domestic.
You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network. We're with former naval officer Ben Loyola. He is also a candidate for Congress, running for the 2nd District nomination for Congress that'll be decided in an open primary on Tuesday. Absentee ballots gone, so if you can't vote on Tuesday in person, you can go to your registrar's office, get your ballot there, vote early. But other than that, you have to vote in person. All the polling places will be open on Tuesday, July 23rd. And, of course, we'll have election night coverage on Tuesday, as we always do. So, Ben, let me just ask you this. Why are you a better candidate to go against Elaine Luria than Scott Taylor?
Well, I shared a little bit about my background. Obviously, a wonderful degree in engineering, service of 30 years in the military. I had an amazing command tour, Naval Forces South in my unit down in South America, Central South America, with operations there, working with all those countries, Panama, Ecuador, Colombia, Peru, 250 men and women underneath my command. And we actually provided support services around the globe. After service, I started a small business in my spare bedroom, grown down to an award-winning engineering service, and it's over 4 states, 40 employees, and have a wonderful wife and 2 beautiful girls. I've given a lot back to my community as well. I was a commissioner for arts and humanities for the city of Virginia Beach, appointed by city council, voluntary position. I was a chairman of the Commonwealth of Virginia Public School Authority for several years, and appointed by Bob McDonald, again involved in the economics of our education system in Virginia. So my whole life has been of service, success, service, commitment to this wonderful country, and I've traveled the world. Folks, we're so blessed to live in America. It's truly the greatest country in the world, and I believe in our Constitution. It's the best form of government, the representative constitutional republic that we have in the world, and I look forward to serving it. My whole life has been a success and of service, and that's why taking the fight to Elaine Luria, and interestingly enough, it's going to be a fellow Naval Academy graduate, sad to say, and she really crossed a line. I don't know if folks saw the infomercial where she took the oath of office, which I've took many times, to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, all the while she's justifying her impeachment of the president, and yet the evidence now is coming quite the opposite. So that's the reality, that things are quite opposite that's portrayed in the media, and as an elected official that she is, I've campaigned throughout the district, and she's just not supporting the elected officials, the constituents, and I'm hearing that Chamber of Commerce, the feedback I'm getting is like she is nowhere. So I've been throughout the district. Obviously, after this pandemic happened, we had to go virtual, and we had numerous town halls. Like I said, over 40 elected officials have endorsed me, past and present, and we've had 2 per week for an hour, full transparency, answering questions, tough questions, common sense questions, and it's been so honored. We just did one last night with former Congressman Scott Ridgell, earlier this week, former Congressman Randy Forbes, and it was just an honor, and excited about the amazing support we're getting, and really everyone's coming together because they know what's the importance of winning this race come November, and obviously we got to get past the primary here, but everything's looking great. I'm really excited about everything.
Well, Scott Ridgell and Randy Forbes, there is the chair and co-chair of the Scott Taylor Hate Club. No question about that.
Well, Senator Jeff McWaters, Senator Bill D. Steff, Senator John Cosgrove, Delegate Brenda Pogge, Glenn Davis, Emily Brewer, and we've had not only pretty high up elected officials, past and present, but city council, clerk of the courts, board of supervisors, treasurers of cities. I mean, in all aspects, as well as party chairs as well. So they realize that, look, we lost the seat because of what happened. At that time, it was a scandal, bad choices made,
yes.
And that's gotten monumentally worse. It's all over the press. People know what's going on. You have another candidate completely crossing, I think, way over the line, just saying some pretty bad stuff, both on TV and print. But it's bringing light to the issue of why we lost the election last time to Elaine Luria. And it's just going to take someone with the education, the success in business, the service to country, and I fought for this country, and I want to continue to fight for our constitutional rights and just common sense principles. What's happening now and playing out at the national level and the press is unbelievable. That so many of our rights and the economy is still being suppressed. I'm really concerned for this country, and we just need folks with some common sense principles, not idealistic beliefs that obviously have never proven successful in throughout government and human history. And let's get America back up and get the economy growing. As we say in the Navy, a rising tide raises all ships, and you've got to have a prosperous economy. That's what made America great. That's why people came here to live their lives and take care of themselves, their family, work their lands, their businesses. But we have to have a strong defense and provide for domestic tranquility, and those are, interesting enough, all tenets of our preamble of our Constitution, but they're at play right now, playing out right in front of us, and people are very concerned, very frustrated.
All right, so Ben, basically you're basing your campaign that you have a better chance of beating Elaine Luria, right? I mean, that's basically the crux of your campaign that I understand. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, sir. I mean, education, service, 30 years.
Is there any policy differences, like any difference in votes between you and Taylor? You and Taylor, forget Jerome Bailey isn't going to win. So it's you or Taylor. Tell me about a couple of policy differences differentiating yourself from Scott Taylor.
Well, I mean, one, I believe and support what President Trump has accomplished. Like I shared earlier, I served under a commander-in-chief who knew what peace through strength was and ensured that he provided the best tools and equipment for our warfighter to accomplish their jobs and come home safe. also take care of our veterans on the way back. President Trump has instituted incredible international policies. Look what he did with Mexico and Canada. Look what he's done and fighting hard against bringing light to what happens in China, which actually during this pandemic, the holding us hostage about the raw materials and pharmaceuticals that they said you better not talk back about a communist regime, which they are, or else we're going to withhold these raw materials which you need for your pharmaceuticals, basically holding people's lives hostage. And then the abuse of trademarks, patents infringements. China, even when I had my thesis paper at the Naval Academy, when I designed and built a liquid propellant rocket engine, they were asking for copies. China's been a technological vacuum cleaner and therefore profiting from everybody else's sweat equity and lots of investment, lots of research and development, and then just taking that and running it with cheap manufacturing subsidized by a communist regime. Those are the kind of things President Trump, as a business person, as a leader, has been calling the chart, and I will support that. Other candidates have been bashing the president for many things, but you can't argue against the facts. Record low unemployment, record high labor participation rate, energy independence, all these things were commitments on a platform, and I look forward to following because we must have a strong economy. Right to work state, strong support of the Second Amendment. I spoke at several of the municipalities have shared here throughout the Hampton Roads about the experience of how Fidel Castro took over a country by disarming the people and then killing thousands in firing squads. We lived that first person. So my whole being, I guess, I'm able to talk first person. I've been down to the border. I've seen the immigration. I've worked with the Border Patrol agents. I speak Spanish fluently, obviously my first language. But I don't hyphenate my name. I'm 100% American, but I was born in Cuba. But my perspective, understanding, and we're living the American dream, an incredible country. And I've traveled the world, over 30 years of military service, and was major leadership in a command center in Bosnia when that was going down. Also humanitarian relief, Mississippi flood, and Miami hurricane. So my military career is I'm so honored with all the service I've done, and ultimately, obviously, fighting in combat. But then success in my business, starting a small business and understanding, being able to write both sides of the check, and first-person knowledge of what works, what doesn't, understanding what regulation does, understand what overtaxation does, and that, as well as having a wonderful family, supportive family. Kids are in school. I'm the chairman of the school where they go to, chairman of a scholarship committee. So my life has been of service, of giving back to the community, and I know my education experiences and my commitment to service will be the best one out there to serve the constituents of the 2nd Congressional District, which is amazing diversity. I love the district. It's almost like a perfect fit for me.
We're with Ben Loyola. He's running for Congress, 2nd District, three-way primary decided on Tuesday. Jerome Bell, Ben Loyola, Scott Taylor. Taylor right now the favorite in that, but that's why you have an election. We'll see what happens. Couple of policy questions, and then I got to roll.
Yes, sir.
Ben, let's get the statues. How do you stand on the removal of Confederate statues, and also Thomas Jefferson and others?
Now, it's what's playing out is the race of history. We have to learn from history, not erase history. Fidel Castro and all these tyrants around the world have done the same thing. They want to topple these statues of historical thing that part that we have to learn from and understand the good, bad, and the ugly of American history, but why we are truly the greatest government in the world. And what's happening is anarchy and chaos. You have certain elected officials calling for police to stand down and just let the chaos, and cities are burning, blocks are burning, the defaming, and sadly the maiming, injury, and the killing that's going on in this country. Folks, again, go back to our Constitution. We must have domestic tranquility. We must have a strong national defense. That's both from foreign and internal. And we don't have that. We'll have anarchy, and something will fill that vacuum. And we have to have the rule of law. Really, people just want to live their lives, take care of themselves, take care of their business, take care of their family, have their jobs, fulfill their dreams, and join the career. This is the American freedom. So the statues are there, obviously representing all sorts of historical information, and there's some incredible ironies where they're just toppling monuments just for the sake of toppling monuments that have quite the opposite background, and it's unbelievable. And actually, right here in Portsmouth, Virginia, someone just got injured and in a coma, and because of just the lawlessness and the craziness going on. Yet elected officials are calling the police to stand down, just let it happen, and that can't happen.
It's sad. I mean, Christopher Columbus statue, what did he have to do with any of the things they're talking about? It's kind of ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, and I tell you what, Senator Lucas in Portsmouth, in big trouble.
Yes.
Because you got somebody in a coma, and she incited it, and then, was part of the contingent to tell the police to stand down, and now we got someone dying. Not good. Of course, nothing will happen to her. Nothing ever does. They'll find a way to get her out of it, just like they always do. Police reform, what do you see there?
Absolutely. The president signed an executive order, and actually before that, he's pushing forward for prison reform. We have to look at the training. I go back to the military as well, and I was part of a security detachment when there were some terrorist threats here at Little Creek Amphibious Base and throughout our bases in Hampton Roads. It was training. You got to understand, when you're in that role as a police officer in enforcing the laws, we have to have the rule of law. Otherwise, we'll have chaos, anarchy, and something will fill that vacuum. We make sure that the police officers train de-escalation tactics, restraint tactics, and the stuff we saw play out. Obviously, and I actually was on an hour show with a police officer from the Eastern Shore. I've met with the Police Benevolent Association here, over 600 members strong. And that is not in the training book. That was a complete lawless act, and obviously that let the Lady Justice, blind Lady Justice, where everybody is equal underneath the law, play out. But of course, what's happened is things have gotten out of control, and no problem. First Amendment right, you want to share, you want to voice, like the folks up in the Second Amendment up in Richmond and throughout Hampton Roads. You want to share your concerns about the civil discourse here on what's happening with the police. But we need to take care of the police officers, ensure we have the right training, and ensure that at the federal level that's something that can be done. And I just have to believe that it's inadequate training. When we didn't have training in the military, we lost lives, our own lives, and accidents happened, and other people lost their lives. And a police officer that's out there under incredible intense pressure trying to restrain someone that's broken the law and then gets in this fisticuff and problems, they have to have unique training and lots of training and persistent training to ensure something like this doesn't happen again. And obviously you can't prevent it 100% because there's bad apples in all aspects of society, and it needs to be called out. Folks need to be brought to justice when something like this happens, and it's playing out.
All right, final question, Ben Loyola.
Sure.
Should we start school in Virginia on time?
Yes.
Normal school buses, normal football practice, normal soccer, normal track, everything normal. Should we start normal after Labor Day in Virginia, yes or no?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. Ben, people want more info. Where do they get it? How do they get your
BenLoyola.com. Ben Loyola, spelled Loyola, just like the college, university, is a name you can trust, and I look forward to winning this on the 23rd. But please vote. So many people, men and women around the world, have served, so give us a freedom and opportunity to vote on 23 June Republican primary at your normal voting location.
All right, BenLoyola.com. Hey, Ben, thanks for being with us.
John, thank you. God bless.
And good luck on Tuesday.